Alright. A data analytics company has been building its new generation big data and analytics platform on their AWS cloud infrastructure. Let's see if my audio is right. Alright, good. They need a storage service that provides a scale. They need a storage service that provides the scale and performance of their big data applications require, such as a high throughput to compute nodes, coupled with read after write consistency and low latency file operations. In addition, their data needs to be stored redundantly across multiple AZs, allows concurrent connections from multiple EC2 instances hosted on multiple AZs. Which of the following storage solutions? Definitely S3. You're employed by a large electronics company that uses Amazon S3 for reporting purposes. They want to track and log every request access to the S3 buckets, including the requester bucket name, request time, request action, refer, turnaround time, error code information. The solution should also provide more visibility into the object level operations of the bucket. Which is the best solution among the following options that can satisfy? I would say CloudTrail. You're working for a tech company which currently has an on-premise infrastructure. They are currently running low on storage and want to have the ability to extend their storage to AWS Cloud. Which of the services can help you achieve this gateway? You recently launched a new FTP server using an on-demand EC2 instance in the newly created VPC with default settings. Default settings. The server should not be accessible publicly, but only through IP address and nowhere else. Which of the following is most suitable way to implement this requirement? Well, it's definitely not one of these zeros. It's one of the 32-bit masks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11. I think this will be fine. I don't know. Next. A solutions architect is designing a monitoring application which generates audit logs of all operational activities of the company cloud infrastructure. Their IT security and compliance team mandates that the application retain the logs for 5 years before the data can be deleted. How can an architect meet the above requirement? Application which generates audit logs of all operational activities of the company's cloud infrastructure. Their IT security and compliance team mandates that the application retain the logs for 5 years before. I mean, they have a policy you can do. Store the audits, store the audits, file locking. Vault lock feature, I guess. That might be it. Like this. A customer is transitioning their active MQ message broker service into the AWS cloud, in which they require an alternative asynchronous service that supports NMS and MQTT message protocol. Alright. The customer does not have the time and resources needed to recreate their messaging service in the cloud. The service has to be highly available and should require almost no management overhead. Which of the following is most suitable? MQ in this case. I don't know if they're gonna have to recreate. I don't know what NMS and MQTT is. It's definitely not these. It's MQ. The company you are working for has a set of AWS resources hosted in AP Northeast 1 region. You have been requested by your IT manager to create a shell script which could create duplicate resources in another region in the event of AP Northeast 1 region fails. Which of the following AWS services could help fulfill this task? Oh god, you have an auto-scaling group which is configured to launch new T2 micro instances when there is a significant load increase in the application. To cope with the demand, you now need to replace the instances larger TXX 2x large instance types. How would you implement this change? Alright. All I gotta do is replace them. There's a launch configuration. Auto scaling and create a new launch config with the new instance type and update the auto scaling group. That's all I would do. Update it. See what happens. I don't know what would happen, but an auto-scaling group of the EC2 instances is created with basic monitoring enabled in CloudWatch. You notice that your application is slow, so you need to ask one of your engineers to check all of your EC2 instances. After checking your instances, you notice that the auto-scaling group is not launching any more instances as it should be, even though the servers already have high memory usage. What is the best solution that will fix this? That's terrible. Well, it says here it's not launching any more instances, even though the servers already have high memory usage. The app's slow with basic monitoring. To fix this issue? Auto-scaling group. Increase the threshold? No, because they're already up. You mean decrease the threshold. So anyway, this is bad because you have to make your own. Okay, monitoring system, send custom metrics to CloudWatch, which will trigger your... I'll just enable detailed monitoring, see what goes on. Fix it? That will fix it? This might not fix it though. Detailed monitoring might not fix. This will at least scale it up. I don't know what to do in this case. I don't know, I'm going to try just this for now. You have set of Linux servers running on multiple on-demand EC2 instances. Alright. The audit team wants to collect and process the application log files generated from these servers, which the following services best... Collect and process the application log files generated from these servers for the report. Which of the following services is best to use in this case? S3 for storing application log files, and Amazon MapReduce for processing log files. Yes, yes. Not Glacier, not this, not Redshift even. It's this. To save costs, your manager instructed you to analyze and review the setup of your AWS cloud infrastructure. You should also provide an estimate on how much your company will pay for all the AWS resources they are using. In this scenario, which of the following will incur costs? Analyze and review the setup of their AWS cloud. You should also provide an estimate on how much your company will pay for all the AWS resources. In this scenario, which of the following running instances? I guess it stopped on demand. Using Amazon VPC, public data. It might not be the stopped EC2 instance. I'm going to look it up. You are charged for EBS storage for the amount of storage provisioned to your account, measured in gigabytes per month, gigabyte months. Each EC2 instance accrue charges only while they're running, but EBS volumes attached to instance continue to retain information and accrue charges even when the instance is stopped. For more information, okay, so it's EBS. What's EBS? Alright. I'm gonna open it up now. Alright. A financial company instructed you to automate the recurring tasks in your department, such as patch management, infrastructure selection, and data synchronization to improve their current processes. You need to have a service which can coordinate multiple AWS services into serverless workflows. Swift. Which of the following most cost effective? It's either Step or Swift, but Swift is probably it. The game development company that you are working for has an Amazon VPC with a public subnet. It has 4 EC2 instances that are deployed in the public subnet. Okay. Maybe I need to play something else. Game development company has you working that you are working for as a VPC with the public subnet. It has 4 EC2 instances that are deployed in the public subnet. These 4 instances can successfully communicate with other hosts on the internet. You launch a 5th instance in the same public subnet using the same AMI and security group configuration that you use for the others. However, this new instance cannot be accessed from the internet. Why? I'm just gonna say it, assign elastic IP address. I don't know why I wouldn't. Whatever. A technology company is building a new cryptocurrency trading platform that allows buying and selling of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Ripple, and many others. You are hired as a cloud engineer to build the required infrastructure needed for this new trading platform. On your first week at work, you started to create CloudFormation YAML scripts that defines all the needed AWS resources. Your manager was shocked that you haven't created the EC2 instances, S3 buckets, and other AWS resources straight away. He does not understand the text-based scripts that you have done and was disappointed that you're just slacking off at your job. In this scenario, what are the benefits of using CloudFormation Service that you should tell? Using CloudFormation itself is free, including you have a web application host in AWS Cloud where the application logs are sent to Amazon CloudWatch. Lately, the web apps have recently been encountering some errors that can't be resolved simply by restarting the instance. What will you do to automatically restart the EC2 instance whenever the same application error occurs? First, look at this in CloudWatch logs for keywords related to application error to create a custom metric. Then create a CloudWatch alarm for the custom metric, which invokes the action to restart. Sounds good. First, look at for keywords. We'll then create an alarm in SNS for. I like the SNS one, but first look for existing flow logs for keywords. No, all right. Which of the following group services can you use to meet this requirement? Okay, in a real-time data analytics application is using Lambda to process data and store results in JSON format to an S3 bucket. To speed up the existing workflow, you have to use a service where you can run sophisticated big data analytics on your data without moving them into a separate analytics system. Never heard of Neptune. To speed up the existing workflow, you have to use a service where you can run sophisticated big data analytics on your data without moving them into a separate analytics system. Yeah. A real-time data analytics application is using AWS Lambda to process data and store results in JSON format to an S3 bucket. To speed up the existing workflow, you have to use a service where you can run sophisticated big data analytics on your data without moving them in a separate analytics system. A data analytics application. X-ray is not that. Glue and Glacier Select, I don't even know. This one's rough. So Athena is SQL for S3 buckets. Redshift Spectrum. Query data directly from files in S3. You already have a cluster. I guess this is good enough. S3 select is probably another type of querying. You have a web application hosted on an unmanned EC2 instance in your VPC, or creating a shell script that needs the instance's public and private IP addresses. What is the best way of getting the instance's associated IP address which your shell script can use? I mean, you get metadata. Okay. You are a technical lead at the cloud infrastructure team in your company, and you were consulted by a software developer regarding the required AWS resources of the web application that he is building. He knows that an instance store only provides ephemeral storage where the data is automatically deleted when the instance is terminated. To ensure that the data of his web app persists, an app should be launched in an EC2 instance that has durable block level storage volume attached. He knows that they need to use EBS volume, but they are not sure what type they need to use. In this scenario, which of the following is true about EBS volume types and their respective usage? Oh lord, I picked 2 out of these 5. Spot volumes provide the lowest cost per gigabyte of all EBS volume types and are ideal for workloads where data is accessed infrequently, applications where the lowest storage cost is important. Provision IOPS volumes offer storage with consistent and low latency performance and are designed for IO intensive applications such as large. Magnetic volumes provide the lowest cost per gigabyte of all EBS volume types and are ideal for workloads where data is accessed infrequently and application where the lowest storage cost is important. Single root IO volumes are suitable for a broad range of workloads, including small to medium-sized databases. Reduced redundancy storage volumes offer consistent and low latency performance and are designed for IO. Spot volumes, I don't know. I think it's provision IOPS and magnetic. I'm just gonna leave it. A company is using hundreds of AWS resources in multiple regions. They require a way to uniquely identify all of them. That will allow them to specify resource unambiguously across all of AWS, such as an IAM policies, Amazon relational database service, and API calls. Which of the following is the most suitable option? Tags. Tags, dude. Tags. You are a solutions architect for a large London-based software company. You are assigned to improve the performance and current processes of supporting the AWS resources in your VPC. Upon checking, you notice that the operations team does not have an automated way to monitor and resolve issues on their on-demand EC2 instances. What can be used to automatically monitor EC2 instances and notify the operations team of any incidents? Incidents. Performance and current processes of support. Upon checking, you notice that monitor and resolve issues with on-demand EC2 instances. I mean, I would say CloudWatch, but they're talking about incidents. I'm gonna say it's CloudTrail. It might be CloudWatch though. You're responsible for running a global news website hosted in a fleet of EC2 instances. Lately, the load of the website has increased, which resulted in slow response time for the site visitors. This issue impacts the revenue of the company. Some users tend to leave the site if it's on load after 10 seconds. Which of the following services AWS? You can cache it. You can use AWS CloudFront website as a custom origin. For better read throughput, storage gateway, distribute. No, stupid. Elasticache, websites in-memory data for store. Deploy website in all regions in different VPCs for faster processing. That's okay. Use CloudFront with website as the custom origin. Deploy the website to all regions in different VPCs for faster processing. Which below services can be used? I mean, I think it's, you can deploy the website to all regions and different VPCs for faster processing, but nah, I'm not gonna do that. It's still gonna bottle down the other ones, the one region. So CloudFront or Elasticache. You're creating a provision IOPS volume in AWS. The size of the volume is 10 gigabytes. Which of the following is the maximum value that should be put for the IOPS and the value and the provision IOPS volume value? Provision IOPS volume 10 gigabytes. Which of the following is the maximum value that should be put for IOPS of the volume? I don't know this one. $10 gigs doesn't sound a lot. Well, dude, I don't know. This is a YOLO. 500. I don't like 500. It doesn't sound like an even number, so I'm just gonna do 800 and see what happens. Because I remember 32,000 IOPS. You're managing an online platform which allows people to easily buy, sell, spend, and manage their cryptocurrency. To meet the strict IT audit requirements, each of the API calls on all the AWS resources should be properly captured and recorded. You use CloudTrail in your VPC to help you in the compliance operational audit. In this scenario, where does CloudTrail store all the logs that it creates? Probably in S3, like every normal person. Your company has a two-tier environment in their on-prem data center, which is composed of an application tier and database tier. You're instructed to migrate their environment to AWS Cloud and design the subnets in their VPC with the following requirements. There's an application load balancer that will distribute the incoming traffic among the servers in the application tier. The application tier and the database tier must not be accessible from the public internet. The application tier should only accept traffic coming from the load balancer. The database tier contains very sensitive data. It must not share the same subnet with the other AWS resources. Wow. The database tier contains very sensitive data. It must not share the same subnet in the other AWS resources. Ghost wave trap. The database tier contains very sensitive data and must not share the same subnet with other AWS resources and its custom route table with other instances in the environment. The environment must be highly available and scalable to handle a surge of incoming traffic. So we're gonna need at least like 2 subnets per piece, so you need 4. But then they're saying that the database tier must not be accessible from the public internet. The application tier should only accept traffic from the load balancer. The database tier contains very sensitive. It should not share the same subnet. So if you have public and private, you need 2 each, but then the database tier is going to be in its own. So maybe the applications will sit in the public, right? The public tier with the ALB on it. I don't know. Maybe it's 4 or 6. Should I create to meet the above requirements? Private, public. I got the apps and I got the DB. And it's saying here the application tier and the database tier must not be accessible from the public internet. The application tier showing the database tier contains very sensitive, not share the same subnet with other AWS resources and its custom route table. Well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 4. DBAP. It could even be 6, but I'm gonna go 4. You are working for a major financial firm in Wall Street where you are tasked to design an application architecture for their online trading platform, and you should have high available and fault tolerance. The application you're using an Amazon S3 bucket located in East 1 region to store large amounts of intraday financial data. To avoid any costly service disruptions, what will you do to ensure that the stored financial data in the S3 bucket would not be affected? Even if there's an outage in one of the AZs or regional service failure in US East 1. It says here, later on it says, even if there's an outage in one of the availability zones or a regional service failure in US East 1. I do not think that S3 buckets are cross-region replicatable. I mean, they by default S3 bucket. So I'm gonna select that answer first. S3 bucket replication. Is it default? Default. Compliance. Although Amazon S3 stores your data across multiple AZs, by default compliance requirements might dictate you store a greater distance than this. Is it on by default or not? I'm pretty sure it's not on by default, so you need to enable it. And that's it. A popular augmented reality mobile game is heavily using a RESTful API, which is hosted in AWS. The API uses an API gateway and a DynamoDB table with a pre-configured read and write capacity based on your system's monitoring. The DynamoDB table begins to throttle requests during high peak loads, which causes slow performance. Which of the following can you do? I mean, I can just enable caching on the. Cook that shit up, Quay. Throttling request, add DynamoDB table to the auto scaling group. Use DynamoDB auto scaling. That's what you would do. And that would auto change the read write caps. Only way. The data analytics company, which uses machine learning to collect and analyze consumer data, is using. Is using Redshift cluster as a data warehouse. You are instructed to implement a disaster recovery plan for DRP for their systems to ensure business continuity, even in the event of a region outage. Which of the following is the best approach to meet this? Snapshot a Redshift cluster and store it in S3 bucket? I didn't even know that's possible. Do nothing because it's highly available, fully managed data warehouse which can withstand outage in the entire region. Use automation, enable cross-region snap. Redshift AWS. I don't know how you turn it on. Enable cross-region snapshot copy. So is this Redshift? By default, cross-region snapshots disabled. There's a new compliance rule in your company that audits every Windows and Linux EC2 instances each month to view the performance issues. There are more than 100 EC2 instances running in production, and each must have logging function that collects various system details regarding the instance. The SysOps team will periodically review these logs and analyze their contents using AWS Analytics tools, and the results will need to be retained in an S3 bucket. In this scenario, which is the most efficient way to collect and analyze logs from an instance with minimal effort? It's EMR. I don't even see it, but okay. Analyze. Alright, install the unified CloudWatch logs agent in each instance, which will automatically collect and push data to CloudWatch logs. Analyze the log data with insights. Install the SDK? No. Install the systems manager agent in each instance that will automatically collect and push data to CloudWatch logs. Inspector agent. So it's either the SSM agent or CloudWatch logs agent. I think it's the SSM agent. It's probably SSM, systems manager agent. I don't know if CloudWatch logs agent is a thing. This Amazon software runs on EC2 instances and your hybrid instances that are configured for System Manager. SSM agent process requests from the System Manager service and the cloud and configures the machine for as specified in the request. Yeah. Collect and analyze logs. The unified CloudWatch agent. All right. Next. You are a solutions architect working for a large multinational investment bank. They have a web application that requires a minimum of 4 EC2 instances to run to ensure that it can cater to its users across the globe. You are instructed to ensure fault tolerance of the system. Which of the following is the best option? They're all auto-scaling groups with 2 instances in each of the 3 availability zones. That's 6. Minimum of 4. You're instructed to ensure fault tolerance of the system. They're all behind an application load balancers. It's just saying how you want to. Just 2 and 2. You don't need to have freaking 1 in all 4. Across the globe. I'm just gonna say 2 and 2. Fuck it. You are a cloud migration engineer in a company which uses EC2, ELB, and S3 for its video sharing portal for filmmakers. They're using a standard S3 storage class to store all high quality videos that are frequently accessed only during the first 3 months of posting. What should you do if the company needs to automatically transfer or archive media data from S3 bucket to Glacier? Lifecycle policies, my dude. You're working as a SA for a major supermarket store chain. They have an e-commerce application which is running on UE East 2 region that strictly requires 6 EC2 instances running at all times. In that region, there are 3 availability zones that you can use. Okay, 2 each. Which of the following deployments provide 100% fault tolerance in any single AZ in the region? Become if any single AZ. It's 2 in all. Six have to be running at all times. So if one, okay, 6 have to be running at all times, and if one region goes down, right, you have 6 running. You got 3 here, you got 3 here, and you got 3 here. You can't get away with any of these. 4, 2, so I have 6, but boom, alright. Yeah. Whoa. Choose 2. 6 instances in A, 6 in B. This won't work too. This won't work too. Alright, we're good. You're working as a solutions architect for a startup in which you are tasked to develop a custom message service that will be used to train their AI for an automatic response feature which they plan to implement in the future. Based on the research and tests, the service can receive up to thousands of messages a day, and all of these data are sent to EMR for further processing. It is crucial that none of the messages will be lost. No duplicates, and that they are processed EMR in the same order as arrival. FIFO. Thousands. Okay, well, you can handle thousands a day. Never heard of AWS data pipeline to handle messages, but Kinesis is probably the deal because SQS can deliver more than once. New duplicate. So I'm gonna say it's Kinesis data stream. A Fortune 500 company which has numerous offices and customers around the globe has hired you as their principal architect. You have a staff and customers that upload gigabytes to terabytes of data to the centralized S3 bucket from the regional data centers across continents all over the world on a regular basis. At the end of the financial year, there are thousands of data being uploaded to the central S3 bucket, which is an AP Southeast 2 Sydney region, and a lot of the employees are starting to complain about the slow upload times. You were instructed by the CTO to resolve the issue as soon as possible to avoid any delays processing their global end of the year reports. Which feature in S3 enables fast, easy, secure transfer of your files over long distance between your client? Transfer acceleration, my dude. That's what I would do. Leading IT consulting company has an application which processes a large stream of financial data by an Amazon EC2 cluster, then stores the results in DynamoDB. You have to design a solution to detect new entries in the Dynamo. What solution? Oh my god, DynamoDB streams, Dumbo. Alright, let me check Discord for a second. Okay, friend was asking me a question about Beanstalk. You have a web-based order processing system which is currently using a queue and SQS. The support team noticed that there are a lot of cases where the order is processed twice. The issue has caused a lot of trouble in your process and it made your customers very unhappy. Your IT manager has asked you to ensure that the issue does not happen again. What can you do to prevent this? No, it's not to do retention. It might be the visibility timeout. Replace SQS instead of use. No. I think that simple workflow service might be good in this case, but we're using a queue and SWS, so I'm going to say visibility timeout. Change the message size. Okay. Choose one. You are working as a junior solutions architect where you are responsible for enhancing the availability and durability of the database instances in your VPC. Availability and durability. Your company has multi-AZ RDS instance in the Northeast 1 region. If the storage volume on the primary instance fails, then the multi-AZ deployment automatically initiates a failover to the up-to-date standby instance. In case of a failover, which record in the CNAME, my dude? A CNAME. You are working as an IT consultant for a transportation agency. Wait. Yeah. I think so. For what? RDS? It could be a CAA, but it's probably a CNAME. You're working as an IT consultant for a transportation agency. One choice, right? Transportation agency of the government where you were hired to design and build their online portal. There would be thousands of contracts, permits, and other financial documents that would be submitted to and processed by the portal 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is why you have to ensure the reliability of your cloud architecture in case any infrastructure issues. Alright, whatever. Which AWS services should you use to build a fault-tolerant, highly available architecture? I can only choose 2. Highly available, fault tolerant, DynamoDB. Alright, DynamoDB not for storing like this kind of like contracts, and it'll be S3. It'll definitely be S3 and probably like fault tolerant. Definitely. Highly available. Definitely. This is stupid. This is stupid. ELB maybe. EC2. I don't know if you can go from ELB directly to a bucket, so which AWS service would you build? Okay. You gotta process them, submit it to be processed, which is why you have to ensure. Yeah, EC2 and S3. Only you have to choose 2, right? Yeah. You're working as a solutions architect for a leading data analytics company in which you are tasked to process real-time streaming data of your users across the globe. This will enable you to track and analyze globally distributed user activity on your website and mobile applications, including clickstream analysis. Your cloud architecture should process the data in close geographical proximity to your users and to respond to user requests at low latencies. Which of the following options is the most ideal solution you should implement? Use CloudFront web distribution, Route 53 with latency-based routing in order to process the data at close geographical proximity to users and respond to user requests at low latencies. Process real-time stream data using Kinesis. And durably store the results. S3 bucket, that's beautiful. Integrate CloudFront with Lambda Edge in order to process the data in close geographical proximity to users. Respond to their process real storm. I don't know if Kinesis can process the data, so Lambda Edge can. Process real data using. Oh my god, that's wrong. And durably store the results to an S3 bucket. This got me a little messed up because it's saying here you don't want to process with Athena. That doesn't sound right. Geo proximity routing. I would do the CloudFront with Lambda Edge in order to process data in close. With geo proximity routing in order to process data in close geographic proximity to users, respond to user requests at low latencies, process real-time stream data in Kinesis, and store in S3. Might be this too. I don't know. Integrate CloudFront, Lambda Edge. This one says process using Athena. Wrong. Okay, I gotta get rid of that. This one says CloudFront Route 53. I'm gonna say it's this. Process with the Kinesis. Sounds weird, but I don't know. You're managing a global news website which is deployed to AWS and using MySQL RDS. The website has millions of viewers. Alright, that's cute. From all over the world, which means that the website has read-heavy database workloads. In this scenario, which of the following is the best option to use to increase the read throughput? Reader replicas. You're a big data engineer who is, yeah, I'm pretty big, who is assigned to handle the online enrollment system databases of a prestigious university which is hosted on RDS. You're required to monitor database metrics in CloudWatch to ensure the availability of enrollment system. Okay. What are the enhanced monitoring metrics that CloudWatch gathers? Choose two? What are the enhanced monitoring metrics? I know when you enable it, you get some crazy stuff. But this is by default. This is by default. These might come out by default. So I mean, I'm gonna say the amount of available random access memory maybe, and this hosted RDS child processes maybe, or OS processes. I mean, might be one of these. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on it. You are a solutions architect working for a large multinational bank in the Asia Pacific region. You design. Okay, let's look at it again one more time. Forget it. What are the enhanced monitoring metrics that gathers? RDS DB instances. Looks good enough. You are a solutions architect working in a large multinational bank in the Asia Pacific region. You design an application architecture that is deployed to AWS, which has 4 reserved EC2 instances. To be able to securely and easily manage these instances, you create a Bastion host. Oh. When your CTO found out, he was concerned and asked you what you have done, how you'll describe what the Bastion host. EC2 instances is no, it's in the public instance. Your VPC is typically accessed using SSH RDP. Once remote connectivity has been established with the Bastion host, then it acts as a jump server, allowing you to use HTTP to log in. Yeah. Bastion host EC2 instance public subnet. Blah blah blah. Use SSH RDP. Once remotely connectivity is established, Bastion host acts as a jump server, allowing you to Yeah, definitely this one. This one didn't make sense. You can't just log in with HPS. Your company recently decided to adopt a hybrid cloud infrastructure with AWS to take advantage of the global infrastructure availability zones, regions, and edge locations. What is the difference between the availability zone and edge location? Edge locations are used as central control stations for your AWS resources deployed on all regions. I guess that's good. Availability zones are collections of data centers that run on physically distinct independent infrastructure within AWS region, while the edge location is used to deliver cache content to a closest location to reduce latency. Yeah, that sounds right. An availability zone is a grouping AWS resources in a specific region, while the edge location is a specific resource. Oh no. I think this is a nice one. A web app is hosted on an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances deployed across multiple AZs in front of the application load balancer. You need to implement an SSL solution for your system to improve its security, which is why you requested a cert from a third-party certificate. Where can you safely import the... I can import it in an ALB too, but the cert manager then. Oh, I can choose two. Private S3 bucket versioning, S3 bucket CloudFront. I don't know if I can put it in CloudFront, but maybe. I never heard of IAM certificate store, but AWS Cert Manager and CloudFront maybe. But I'll have to look that up. CloudFront certificate. Yeah, okay. A web application requires a minimum of 6 EC2 instances running at all times. You are tasked to deploy the application in 3 zones. Which of the following setup is most cost-effective solution, which also maintains fault tolerance of your system? 6 have to be up at a time. Probably this one. The most cost-effective? Definitely this one. Okay. You're working for a large global media company with multiple office locations all around the world. You are instructed to build a system to distribute training videos to all employees using CloudFront. What method would you use to serve content that's stored in S3 but not publicly accessible from S3 directly? It's like a signed URL. That lists the CloudFront distribution ID, the principal, and that's too much work. OIA for CloudFront grant access to the object in your S3 bucket to that OIA. Create an identity access manager user for CloudFront and then grant access to the object to that IAM user. No, I wouldn't do that. Create an S3 bucket policy that lists the CloudFront distribution ID as a principal and the target. That sounds very old school, but I think this is right, and I think that S3 might enable that. When you first set up as an origin for the cloud distribution, you grant everyone blah 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 blah. Sign URLs. Yeah, it's probably the right answer. I mean, these are possible, but not accessible from S3 directly, only through it. Okay, so you're saying using CloudFront, what method would you use to serve content that is stored in S3 but not publicly accessible from S3 directly? So you can't get it any other way. But you can only get it from CloudFront. That tells me it might be the principal. You should still review the bucket policy for your bucket or review the permissions. Create a S3 bucket policy that lists the CloudFront distribution ID as its principal and the target bucket as the IRN. I don't know. This one was, I'm not gonna overthink it. It might mess me up. You are working as a solutions architect for a leading financial firm where you are responsible in ensuring that their applications are highly available and safe from common web security vulnerabilities. Which is the most suitable AWS service to mitigate DDoS shield, my dude? Your company wants to host a static website in S3 using a bucket named Tutorials Dojo in the Asia Pacific Sydney region. What website URL will be assigned to bucket? I mean, you can do this, probably. What's the difference here? .aws.com? No, I'm good. I don't think it's this one because it has the region in the beginning. That's not really how it works. The thing that I don't understand, yes, it's probably this. An application is, let me look one more time. Oh yeah. An application is using a RESTful API hosted in AWS, which uses API Gateway and Lambda. There is a requirement to trace the analyze user requests as they travel through API. You want to do this. Choose one. Okay, right. You are using on-demand EC2 instance to host a legacy web application that uses Amazon Instance Store backed AMI. That uses an Amazon Instance Store backed AMI. Amazon Instance Store backed AMI. What? An Instance Store backed AMI? The application should be decommissioned as soon as possible, and hence you need to terminate EC2 instance. When the instance is terminated, what happens to the data in the root volume? It's Amazon Instance Store backed. That's bad. Even if you restart it, it's not saved at all. Data's automatically deleted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Instance Store is a joke. Even if you restart, I think. You're working in a large bank that is developing a web app that receives large amounts of object data. They're using data to generate a report for their stockbrokers to use on a daily basis. Unfortunately, the recent financial crisis has left the bank short on cash and cannot afford to purchase expensive storage hardware. They've resorted to AWS instead. What's the best service to use in order to store virtually unlimited amount? S3, my dude. This is a give out. To save cost, the company decided to change their third-party data analytics tool to a cheaper solution. They sent a full data export on a CSV file which contains all the analytics information. Then save the CSV file to S3 bucket for storage. Your manager asks you to do some validation on the provided data export. Okay. In this scenario, what is a cost-effective, easy way to analyze data? Export data using standard SQL. Create a migration tool. No. Athena, my dude. What is the most cost-effective, easy way to analyze and export data using standard SQL? Why is it even telling you use a migration tool? Create a migration tool. Just use Athena. Oh god. You have a prototype web app that uses one spot EC2 instance. What will happen when the instance by default if it gets interrupted by EC2 for capacity requirements? I think it gets stopped. Probably gets terminated actually, because they need that. No, I'm gonna leave that. You're planning to reduce the amount of data that Amazon S3 transfers to your servers in order to lower the operating costs as well as to lower the latency. Lower latency of retrieving the data. To accomplish this, you need to use a simple structured query language statements to filter the content of the S3 objects and retrieve just a subset of data. You only got these answers? It's definitely S3 select. A tech company is currently using Amazon's simple workflow service with the default configuration for their order processing system. The system works fine, but you notice that some of the orders seem to be stuck for almost 4 weeks. What could be a possible reason? Because SQS was waiting for human input. That's possible. Was exceeded 15-day workflow execution time. It's probably waiting on human tasks. You have recently set up a CloudWatch alarm that performs status checks on your EBS volume. However, you notice that the volume check has a status of insufficient data. What does this mean? Insufficient data? What does it mean? You have recently set up a CloudWatch alarm that performs status checks on your EBS volume. However, you notice the volume check has a status of insufficient data. What does that mean? It means probably as a check in progress. It would tell you if it failed. I'm just gonna guess this. This is fast. 9 more minutes. The data analytics application requires a service that can collect, process, analyze, clickstream data from various websites in real time. Which of the following is the most suitable service to use for this application? In real time, I would do Kinesis, not Glue, not EMR. Real time. Redshift Spectrum, I forgot what that is, so I'm just gonna say Kinesis in this time. Process and analyze. Redshift Spectrum. Yeah, so Spectrum is just for... Oh yeah, it's Kinesis then. Real time. You're working for a media company and you need to configure an S3 bucket to serve static assets for your public-facing web app. Which methods ensure that all the objects uploaded to S3 bucket can be read publicly over the internet? S3 set permission of object to public read during upload. Maybe configure ACL S3 bucket to set all objects to be publicly readable. Oh no. Configure S3 bucket to set all objects to public read. Create IAM role to set the objects inside. Do nothing as long as your buckets are public by default. That's probably true. Set the permissions of the object to public read during upload. And do nothing. No, they're private by default. Dumbo. The ACL. Set all objects to be publicly readable and writable. No. Configure S3 bucket to set all objects to public read. And then create IAM role to set objects inside the S3 bucket to public read. That'll be cool. So you set the permissions of the object to public read. Set the permissions of the object to public read during upload. I think these are good. These are good right here. You have a requirement to integrate the lightweight directly LDAP directory service of your on-premise data center to AWS VPC using IAM. The identity store, which is currently being used, is not compatible with SAML. Which of the following provides the most valid approach to implement the integration? Use IAM policy that single sign-on service to enable single sign-on between develop and on-premise custom identity provider. Use STS to short-live. Alright, what do I need? You have a requirement to integrate LDAP with on-prem VP data center using IAM. Use IAM roles to rotate IAM credentials whenever. Okay. Develop on-prem custom identity broker application and use STS short-lived. No, you have to use IAM. Use IAM policy references LDAP identifiers and AWS credentials. Use AWS single sign-on service to enable single sign-on between AWS and your LDAP. Oh, you only choose one. I would say SSL. Ooh. I think it has the choice to work with not just SAML. But okay. Alright, you're working as a solutions architect for a financial firm which is building an internal application that processes loans, accruals, and interest rates for their clients. They require durable storage service that is able to handle future increases in storage capacity and can provide the lowest latency access to their data. Their web app will be hosted in a single large reserved EC2 instance which will process and store data to the storage service. Which of the following will be the most suitable? I would just say S3. Like, you launch an EC2 instance and your newly created VDI notice that the generated instance does not have associated DNS host name. Which of the following could be a valid reason for this newly created VPC as a valid CIDR block? It does not have a valid, not enabled. The DNS resolution and DNS host name of the VPC configuration should be enabled. Security group of the EC2 instance needs to be modified. Nah. The DNS resolution and DNS host name of the VPC configuration should be enabled. Probably that. You have distributed application AWS that periodically processes large volumes of data across multiple instances. You design an application to recover gracefully from any instance failures. You are required to launch the application in the most cost-efficient way. Which type of EC2 instances? You have a distributed app and AWS periodically processes large volumes of data across multiple instances. You design, I would say on demand, periodically processes large volumes of data multiple. You design an application to recover gracefully. You are required to launch if it could recover gracefully. Spawn instances. If it could do that, it's spawn. A tech startup has recently received a Series A round. What is it? What is the word? Recover gracefully. What was it? Spot instance is cost effective if application can recover gracefully. Oh, 3 minutes. A tech startup has recently received a Series A round of funding to continue building their mobile Forex trading application. You are hired to set up their cloud architecture in AWS to implement a highly available fault-tolerant system for their database. They are using DynamoDB for authentication. They have chosen to use Cognito. Okay, since the mobile application contains confidential financial transactions, there is a requirement to add a second authentication method that does solely require. Okay, how can you implement this in AWS? MFA. That's what I would do. There are a few easily reproducible but confidential files that your clients want to. Okay, there are a few easily reproducible but confidential files that your client wants to store in AWS without worrying about storage capacity. For the first month, all these files will be accessed frequently, but after that, they will be rarely accessed at all. The old files will be accessed by developers, so there is no set retrieval time requirement. However, the files under a specific tutorials Dojo Finance prefix in the S3 bucket will be used for post-processing that requires milliseconds retrieval time. Given these conditions, which of the following options would be the most cost-effective solution? Store the files in S3 after a month changing? No. Store the files. Where's the lifecycle policies? Store files S3, then after a month, change the storage class of the bucket. Oh my god. Using lifecycle policy. Frequent access. Store the files in S3, then after a month, change the storage bucket to intelligent tiering. Ooh, never heard of it. Store, I like these two because they have the prefix. Store in S3 after a month, change the storage class of the finance prefix to one zone IA, while the remaining go to Glacier. One zone IA. It's for developers, so. This is probably the cheapest. A solution architect is designing a cloud architecture for an enterprise application suite of the company. Both web and app tiers need to access the internet to fetch data from public APIs. However, these servers shouldn't be accessible. These servers should be inaccessible from the internet. Which of the following steps should the architect implement to meet the requirements? Deploy a web application tier instances in a private subnet, and then allocate an elastic IP address to each EC2 instance. Why not? Deploy a NAT gateway in the private subnet, and add a route to the public subnet where the web application tiers are hosted. That's cool too. Deploy a web and application tier instance public subnet and allocate elastic IP address. Ooh, that's not good. That's definitely not good. No. Deploy a NAT gateway in the private subnet and add a route from the public subnet where the web and application tiers are hosted. Why would you put them? Alright, deploy a NAT gateway in the public and add a route to the private subnet where the, there we go. From the public subnet where the web and application tiers, why would they be hosted there? Web and public subnet. The private subnet and add a route to it from the public subnet where the web. Oh, inaccessible but able to go out. So I put them in the private subnet and then put the NAT in the public, whatever. Public subnet. There we go. Last question. A bank portal application is hosted in an AWS auto-scaling group of EC2 instances behind a classic load balancer. You're required to set up architecture so that any back-end instances that you bank portal application is hosted in an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances behind a classic load balancer. You're required to set up architecture so that any back-end EC2 instances that you deregister should complete the in-progress requests first before the deregistration process takes effect. Conversely, if a backend instance fails health checks, the load balancer should not send any new requests to the unhealthy instance, but should allow existing requests to complete. Okay. If it becomes unhealthy, should not send any new requests. Allow those. How will you configure? Configure both cross-zone and sticky sessions. Configure connection draining proxy. Oh my god. Yeah. There you go. A bank portal application is hosted in an auto-scaling group of EC2 instances behind a classic load balancer. You're required to set up architecture that any backend EC2 instances that you deregister should complete the in-progress request. Should complete any requests first before the deregistration process takes effect. Conversely, if the backend instance fails health checks, the load balancer should not send any requests. The unhealthy instance should always allow. Cross-zone load balancing? Why would you need that? I don't know. Fuck it. All right. Incorrect. First one incorrect. Which of the following AWS storage services are used to meet this requirement? File operation. Where the fuck is that? File operations. Okay. Thank you. Sure. Yes. You're employed by a large electronics company that uses Amazon's simple storage service for reporting purposes. They want to track and log every request access to the S3 buckets, including request for bucket name, request time, server access logging. All right. Step functions provide serverless orchestration of modern applications. Why not one? Option 1 is the correct because it's fully managed state tracker and task coordinator. It does not provide serverless orchestration to multiple AWS resources. This thing, which of the following most cost-effective service to use? It says you need a service which can coordinate multiple AWS services into serverless workflows. AWS Step Function provides serverless orchestration for modern applications. Orchestration generally centrally manages a workflow by breaking into multiple steps, adding flow logic, tracking the inputs and outputs between steps as your application execute. Step functions maintain application state, tracking exactly the workflow step your application is in, and it stores an event log of data that is passed between application components. That means that if the network fails or components hang, your application can pick right where it left off. Application development is faster, more intuitive with step functions because you can define and manage workflow of your application independently from its business logic. Making changes to one does not affect the other. You can easily update and modify workflows in one place without having to struggle with managing, monitoring, and maintaining multiple point-to-point integrations. Step functions frees your functions and containers from excess code, so your applications are faster to write, more resilient. A financial company instructs you to automate the recurring tasks in your department, such as patch management, infrastructure selection, and data synchronization. To improve their current process, you need to have a service which can coordinate multiple AWS services. Serverless workflows, okay. Allows your model. What? An Amazon resource names ARNs usually identify. We require an ARN when we blah 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 blah, such as blah 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 blah. What the fuck? What's the answer? Option 1 is incorrect because AWS resource is incorrect. 4 is incorrect because although tags can enable you to categorize your AWS resources by purpose, it's still limited because you cannot tag all of your AWS resources. Take note that you cannot tag egress only internet gateway. Oh my gosh. A company is using hundreds of AWS resources in multiple regions. They require a way to uniquely identify all the resources. Oh my god, ARNs. Madumbo. CloudTrail. I chose CloudTrail. Monitor EC2 and notify operations team of any incidents. So this is CloudWatch. Alright. CloudWatch Monitoring. CloudTrail logging. Oh my god. Tell me where they been, we gon' slide on them. Hop out on this grid and put that fire on them. We gon' ride on them, nigga, we gon' slide on them. Leaky in the backseat and he got that big 4-5 on him. Cop all that flex, a nigga, no, he ain't with it. Catch his ass down bad and I said one of his fitted. Nigga, ABG, anybody can get it. Nigga, ABG, anybody can get it. Yeah, cop all that flex, a nigga, no, he ain't right. Provision IOPS, SSD. This is EBS, right? Campaign scroll like a bag of loud. Once that beat phone, pussy nigga ain't no backing out. On your street, we gon' creep with that ratchet out. On your street, we gon' creep with that ratchet out. One in the head, leave it dead by the stop sign. Paw by the window with extenders in this Glock 9. High speed chase, running from 2 different cars, beefing with 2. Maximum ratio of provision IOPS to requested volume size is 50:1. Example, 10 gigabyte implies 500 IOPS. Okay. Oh, okay. In the given scenario, it is evident that only the load balancer is accessible from the public, therefore a public subnet is required. Take note that if you have more than one private subnet in the same availability zone that contains instances that need to be registered with the load balancer, you only need to create one public subnet. You only need one public subnet per availability zone. You can add the private instances and all the private subnets. Add the private instances and all the private subnets that reside in the particular available zone. Since the application tier and database tier should not be accessible from the internet, they should both be in private subnets of the VPC. The issue here is that the database servers should not be in the same subnet as the application servers. Therefore, they will each have their own private subnet. So in total, that makes 3 subnets already. So you got application. So what they're saying is you gotta. In the private subnet, you have the app and the DB right now, and then the load in the pub has the load balancer. It says here, in the given scenario, it is evident that only load balancer is accessible from public, therefore a public subnet is required. Take note that if you have more than one private subnet in the same availability zone that contains instances that need to be registered with load balancer, you only need to create one public subnet. You only need one public subnet per availability zone. You can add the private instances in all of the. I need to hold this up. This is rough. In the given scenario, it is evident that only the load balancer is accessible from the public. Therefore, a public subnet is required. Take note that if you have more than one private subnet in the same AZ that contains instances that need to be registered with the load balancer, you only need to create one public subnet. You only need one public subnet per AZ. You can add private instances in all the private subnet that reside in a particular AZ, but you need one public subnet. Since the application tier and database tier should not be accessible from the internet, they should be both in a private subnet. I already understand. You got two subnets then each. Here's the issue: the database servers should not be in the same subnet as the application servers. Therefore, they will each have their own private subnet. So in total, that makes 3 subnets already. The catch, though, is found on the final requirement. The environment should be highly available in the event that one AZ goes down. So what they're saying is, this is the best way I could probably draw it. You've got AZ1 and AZ2. And here you got your public and private subnets. And in here you have your app and your DB. And then here you have your load balancer in public and private. Here you're gonna have the same thing. 1, 2, 3. A, D, L, B. Private, public. The redundancy would solve the matter. There's another AZ available to handle incoming traffic. Redundancy would solve the matter. And then they're saying for the database tier, you can set up a master-slave verification between the 2 instances across the 2 AZs. Hence, the correct answer is 6. What? 6 subnets? They're in their own subnet. This is a public subnet, a private subnet. And they have to be in their own. So this will be its own. This will be its own. But here it says the catch, though, is found in the final requirement. The environment should be highly available, and in the event of one AZ goes down, there is another AZ available to handle incoming traffic. Redundancy would solve the matter by deploying the environment in 2 AZs. For the database tier, you can set up a master-slave replication between the 2 instances across the 2 AZs. They want 6. They're saying you got one private here, one private subnet, and you got one public subnet, and then another private, and then another public. Okay, so 3, and then 3. Okay. You're a solutions architect working in large multinational. Okay, we're back. Multinational bank, they have a web app, requires 4 systems run. You're instructed to ensure fault tolerant system. Which of the following is the best option? Deploy. I said deploy autoscale group with 2 instances in each of the 2 AZs behind a what? Minimum of 4 to run with 2 instances. Alright, deploy autoscaling group with 2 instances in each of 3 AZs behind. Okay. You are instructed. Fault tolerance ability of the system to remain in operation even after some components failed and failed, blah blah. One of the differences between fault tolerance and high availability is that the former refers to the minimum number of running instances. For example, you have a system that requires a minimum of 4 running instances and currently has 6 instances deployed to 2 availability zones. There was a component failure in one of the AZs which knocks out 3 instances. In this case, the system can still be regarded as highly available since there are still instances running that accommodate the request. However, it is not fault tolerant since the required minimum of 4 instances have not been met.
But these hoes ain't got no taste. It's cuffing season, man. These hoes finna get replaced any day.
I don't know. I don't know how to read this.
I'm dead fresh, I might pull up in a casket. You be looking sweet like a fucking fruit basket. Spit a couple raps, I get a check and Johnny Cash it, I smash it.
Alright, 2 is correct because if one AZ went out, there will only be 2 instances running available. Did I not read it right? Yeah, I just didn't read it. Yeah, I didn't read it right, that's all. Well, I need to read it better next time. I need a minimum of 4 running. If one went down, there'll be 2. I don't need this. Oh lord. It doesn't even tell me why it's wrong. The main issue is that the order management system produces duplicate. Since the code is using SQS, there's a possibility the message taking duplicate. So this is a SQS duplicate. The standard queues. In standard queues, the visibility time is a guarantee. Try something like SWF instead. Okay. Why not S3? This scenario says that you're building an online portal for a government agency. Although it's true that S3 and DynamoDB are fault tolerant, highly available, the requirement says that you have to select 2 services where you can build a highly available and fault tolerant architecture. Since the government agency will be having an online portal that will accept and process various documents, then we can conclude that they need a server to host the API and a public-facing website. S3 can be used as a data storage as well as a static website, but since the requirement says that it is an online portal which should be dynamic, then S3 might not be the best option since it needs to accept documents and generate output, which can't be handled by a static website hosted S3. Dynamic. What did I read? I missed it. What does it say dynamic? Oh. You're working as an IT consultant for a transport agency or the government where you're hired to design and build an online portal. There would be thousands of contracts, permits, and other financials that will be submitted and processed by the portal, which is why you have to ensure the reliability of your cloud architecture. In the case which services should you build a fault-tolerant, highly available architecture? EC2 instances placed in different availability zones are both logically and physically separated. ELB allows you to spread the load across multiple. The scenario says that you're building an online portal of a government agency. Although it's true that S3 and DynamoDB are both fault tolerant and highly available, the requirement says that you have to select 2 services where you can build highly available and fault tolerant architecture. Since the government agency will be having an online portal that will accept and process various documents, then we could conclude that we need a server to host the API and a public-facing website. Oh, because they need something. All right. All right. So because they're saying that you have to submit stuff, no. You have to be able to submit financial docs, not just enter information. Which services should you use to build a fault-tolerant and highly available architecture? I can't use S3. Can't use S3. Elastic load balancer allow you to spread the load, blah, 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 blah. Would not be the best option since it needs to accept documents and generate. Try EC2 instead. Process.
Bitch, I've been a scrub since day one. Scrub another toilet till the pay come. Popping 10 pills till the pain's numb. I can feel all the hate from my day one. Claiming they click like they into it. Really wishing I felt you my enemies. I ain't paying no hoe, I'm just feeling it. Where in the fuck were you at? Am I sentencing? What the sentence is? Said the judges, he sentenced me to the pen where he ready sent many men. First time offended to villainy, can't feel resentment.
Enabling enhanced monitoring metrics gives you RDS child processes and OS processes.
Catch me on a western and Franklin, I got the deuce fed. Double number coming, no quality, I got the deuce red. Cooling at the crib with some groupies, they really cool with. No shame when I'm claiming no rapping, I got a rule clip. Pimpin' hoes in the hole, I'm shameless to get my crew fed. Keep my mind preoccupied, work on myself. Can't let nobody get into my mind or get intimate with me. Got into myself, lane dip down the block, cop way back. Blood stains dripping all around the face mask. Throw it in the river now where your kids at.
When you got both certificates, it doesn't mean you can import SSL certificates on it. You would not be able to export the certificate that you have loaded in CloudFront nor assign them to your.
Whipping the maximum massy fat pussy, you dripping blood out of your ovary. Tell your hoe please to get over me. Know it's me when I pull up in the caddy and hoes wanna photo me. Follow me, I can show you what you supposed to be. I run my coat, never ride on no coattail. Wholesale pussy on wholesale. The costs go low when you desperate. The costs rise slow, let it creepin' on your necklace. I got the blocks together with no Tetris. Bump this hoe right here when you feeling real helpless. Keep the Glock somewhere near my pelvis. In case I gotta get my vengeance, yeah. The Lexa Pro, it can't help me.
Alarm status check on EBS. Insufficient data means check is still in progress. Check pass. Okay. Check fail. Impaired. Check in progress. Oh Lord. If identity is not compatible with SAIL 12, then you can build a custom identity broker application that performs a similar function.
So many people all around me, yet I feel so alone. I'm a dead man, walking zombie, singing my song. You want that fuck you music, go blow your brains out to it. Florida's finest, you finest inside that broke down, hooped it. People in front of my face, but they really wanna bust a hole in my back. I've been on go for a minute, but they really wanna move me off of my track.
That's rough. You can't use SSL. Whoa.
Pouring up for the real niggas. We gon' roll one up for the real hitters. I'm working on dying. Quando Rondo nigga. All the real niggas in heaven, man, I need someone to call. Nowadays these phones tap, I don't even wanna talk. Down a very long road, these niggas ain't never walked on. My back against the rope, she cut her tie so I can fall.
It says here is incorrect because all the S3 is highly available, highly scalable. It does not provide lowest latency. S3 does not provide the lowest latency. To ensure classical amount, stop sending requests to instances that are directed and unhealthy while keeping this connection open. Use connection draining. Stop sending requests to instances that are deregistering or unhealthy while keeping the existing connections open. It's good. It's called connection draining. The same instance, okay.
I'm trying to be discreet, I feel like Roddy Rich. How you supposed to be my dog? You wanna murk me though. Signed to the streets 3 times, I feel like Durkee, yo. Counting up a check while on the jet, I'm talking Tokyo. You told them last time.
Alright, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Whew. 76.9.
touch 'em. All the real niggas in heaven, man, I need someone to call. Nowadays these phones tap, I don't even wanna talk. Got up there and all, whoa, these niggas ain't never walked.
All right.
Back against the rope, she cut her tie so I could
Peace.
fall.